After the break, more ULEZ cameras are vandalised while the Labour leader distances himself from the Mayor's expansion plans. Tonight, the carers accused of not caring enough. As this baby tugs at his oxygen mask, an alarm goes off, but his carer, beside his cot, appears to be asleep. Campaigners warn there could be more cases of neglect in London.
They're obviously not even aware of their duties in what they have to deliver.
Also ahead, 2 men are stabbed outside a popular gay bar in what police say was a homophobic attack. More ULEZ cameras are vandalised while the Labour leader distances himself from the Mayor's expansion plans. Plus,
We got a long
the
way
climb
to
of
go.
his life, how little Tony's trek is helping other patients in need, and what Lionel Messi, Zinedine Zidane and our Sally have in common, all will be revealed. Good evening. What baby Ethan needed was around-the-clock care, but as he lay in his cot, agency carers who were supposed to be watching him appeared to ignore an emergency alarm, sat using their phones, or even fell asleep on occasion. Ethan's mother has told ITV News London she believes her little boy was neglected by care services. Charities fear there could be other vulnerable people at risk right across the capital. Cafe Pata has our exclusive report.
And when I raise my hand, the response is blessed be God, okay?
Born prematurely at 23 weeks, Ethan's parents had him baptised in a hospital out of love and fear he wouldn't survive. For nearly a year he remained in intensive care, but as he grew stronger and older, it was time to come home. Even though his condition had improved, he still required 24-hour care. This medication, a feeding tube, and this oxygen mask while he sleeps. When the alarm goes off, urgent attention is required. And it's meant to stay on for 9 hours.
Yes.
He shouldn't be pulling it out.
Pressure, yeah.
In 2021, his mother sought help through a care agency to help look after her son. But the treatment he received was less than satisfactory.
I speak for the manager. Manager change the carers, change the carers, change the carers. The same problem. Continues the same problem.
This video shows Ethan asleep next to one of his overnight carers. He tugs at his oxygen mask and the alarm goes off. All his carer does is stay on her phone. She continues to ignore Ethan while he tosses and turns and pulls on his feeding tube. There were other instances of neglectful care. His mother said that at times carers didn't adhere to the proper hygiene standards and administered the wrong doses of medication. They can also be seen here in the top left corner, falling asleep on the job. After almost 2 months of this treatment, she severed ties with the agency.
They're obviously not even aware of their duties in what they have to deliver.
We shared the videos with the care campaign group who were critical of Ethan's carer on the night. They also want greater transparency in this sector.
It's shocking. So we're calling for, cameras to be installed in home as well, with consent, and also in all caring environments.
In 2018, the Care Quality Commission inspected Voyage Care and gave them a rating of good overall, but in the safety category, they were listed as requiring improvement. Voyage Care told us Emily's concerns were flagged to them and they were dealt with immediately, including informing the relevant authorities who were satisfied with the actions we took. We were in communication with Ethan's family throughout the process. They also said they regret any occasions that the care provided to Ethan fell below the high standards we expect of ourselves. Emily's experience has had a lasting impact. Her son, Ethan, still requires specialist help, but his mother's trust in the care sector is now completely broken.
And Kath, this could be a wider problem across the capital, you found.
Yes, I mean, the campaigner we spoke to said that the care industry really needs looking into, and that goes from how carers are trained to how providers are inspected. And if we look at the data here, in 2019, the Care Quality Commission, they inspected 25,000 providers, and that number has been gradually going down. Now it's at 6,000 this year. I mean, if you're a family looking for a carer or looking for a care agency, you'd struggle choosing. That's because you can't be sure if your provider has declined since they were last inspected or if they've been inspected at all. But the CQC say that all concerns they received are looked at by inspectors. They encourage people to report their concerns. The arguments from people like Jane Connery is that this is very much a reactive approach. They want the Care Quality Commission to be more proactive and more regular with their inspections.
Kath, thank you. 2 men have been stabbed in a homophobic attack outside a gay bar in Clapham last night. Police say the attacker is still on the run. Mahathir Pasha is outside the 2 brewers on the high street there. Mahathir.
Yes, another stabbing in London, and this time it's been declared a homophobic attack. We've been speaking to people in Clapham who are still in shock. It's meant to be a place you go to for fun, but instead 2 brewers' club on Clapham High Street became a crime scene on Sunday night. 2 men, one aged in his 20s and another in his 30s, were simply standing outside this bar before another man stabbed them both with a knife and ran away. The locals are still trying to process it.
You know, you sort of hear that there are stabbings that happen in London, but I didn't really expect it to happen here. You know, I kind of thought that was something that happens somewhere else, but you know, I'd like to think that it's not something that occurs often, but yeah, it's a bit of a shock to hear.
I was quite shocked by it. It's quite scary to think that you're just working 2 doors down. It's quite terrifying.
The victims of this attack were taken to hospital for treatment and have thankfully since been discharged.
It's just getting unsafer by the day, and things need to change drastically. I'm angry and I'm also upset because that is a place that I absolutely love, the 2 Brewers, and it's one of the most kindest places you can go. All the staff, everyone just treats everyone lovely, and for that to happen, it's the lowest of the low.
For this LGBT plus anti-abuse charity, hatred towards their community is becoming too common.
I think the community generally, we can see, are feeling quite frightened in relation to this news. Here at Gallup, unfortunately, we do see violent attacks against LGBT plus people very often in the people coming for support from our services. So unfortunately, it's not surprising, but it is obviously always distressing and makes people feel less safe to be who they are.
Today, 2 Brewers Bar have said in a statement that safety remains their #1 concern and they have enhanced security measures. They say they are fully supporting the police with their investigation and have handed over CCTV. But for now, the LGBT plus community is still searching for answers. Police say inquiries are ongoing and they are appealing to anyone with evidence to come forward in the hope that it might help them track down the suspect. They say in a statement, "We are acutely aware of the shock this attack will cause members of the LGBT plus community and want to reassure people that an urgent investigation is ongoing to locate the person responsible."
Mahathir on Clapham High Street, thank you. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, appears to have added more distance between himself and Sadiq Khan over the expansion of the ultra-low emission zone. He said cities should look at other options for tackling air pollution. Meanwhile, with the day of expansion fast approaching, more cameras have been vandalised by activists. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the latest.
In full view of drinkers at a busy pub, a hooded figure in black uses giant pruning loppers to snip the cable of a ULEZ camera. This brazen act of sabotage outside the Swan and Mitre in the centre of Bromley is the latest attack on the cameras which will police London's extended clean air zone.
I will never agree with that people should be doing it. It's illegal. You should not be doing that. And the cameras have cost £60 million of taxpayers' money. But at the same time, I just do not think that Sadiq Khan has any comprehension of just how upset people are by this.
Transport for London refuses to say how many cameras have been vandalised or stolen. TfL was hoping to have more than 2,500 in place for the ULEZ extension on August the 29th.
13,965.
Ever since the Conservatives' unexpected win in the Uxbridge by-election, Sadiq Khan has been under pressure from senior Labour figures to rethink his plan. Now the party has reportedly dropped a commitment to introduce even more clean air zones.
What I don't want is schemes that disproportionately impact on people in the middle of a cost of living crisis. So we need to look at options for achieving what we all need to achieve, which is clean air. There are other ways of achieving this.
The Labour leader points to other cities like Birmingham and Bristol, where clean air zones are confined to the centre, not in the suburbs. But Sadiq Khan argues there is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to cleaning up toxic air.
What's right for London may not be right for Luton. A policy that's right for Bermondsey may not be right for Burnley. I'm quite clear, though, that the ultra-low emission zone is a policy integral to tackling the climate emergency, at least to less carbon emissions, but also integral to the public health emergency. We have around 4,000 premature deaths a year.
Despite political pressure from all sides, despite the disabling of the cameras, the Mayor is pressing ahead with his ULEZ extension. 2 weeks tomorrow, all of London will be in the zone. Simon Harris, ITV News.
And you can listen to a special episode of our podcast, What You Need to Know, where Simon answers some of the most frequently asked questions about ULEZ and how it will affect you. Just go to itv.com/London to find it. Next tonight, we know there were almost 100,000 domestic abuse cases recorded by police in London last year, but in reality, most victims don't report their abuse, meaning the number could be far higher. So the Mayor's £3 million fund for organisations that tackle domestic violence against women and girls was welcomed by campaigners today. But does it go far enough? Here's Carolyn Sim.
As the cost of living crisis continues, for those in abusive relationships, the risk of violence grows. That's long been the warning of charities, who say the fear of financial destitution makes it harder to escape.
1 month or 2 months, me just eat bread or not too much eat for the chicken, nothing rice, nothing.
This woman told us she couldn't even buy food because her abusive husband hadn't allowed her to leave the house or get a job. Another woman whose voice we changed told us her husband and his family became abusive when she was pregnant and found out she was expecting a girl.
When my daughter was born, they started abusing her as well. They didn't want a daughter, they wanted a son. Yet my husband packed all of my daughter's things and snatched her away from me. When police found her, they discovered he had other children at the house.
So I work with the mums and the single ladies.
Both women are now getting help from Kieran Support Services, a charity the Mayor visited today, which meets the specific needs of South Asian women. The charity is now eligible to apply for a 2-year grant, part of a £3 million boost in funding for grassroots community charities, which can reach out to smaller groups.
Sometimes it could be support in relation to language, it could be support in relation to specific bespoke counselling, it could be support in relation to a particular type of safe accommodation, particular type of legal advice. That's why we're supporting these grassroots organisations, because we know they're a lifeline, a lifesaver for many Londoners.
But many domestic abuse charities are already overstretched, running on a shoestring themselves.
Our latest research on the impact of the cost of living crisis on services has shown that around 2/3 will have to close if there's no further intervention with the cost of living. And that rose up to 85% for services, particularly for black and minoritised women. So really, really important to see this emergency funding.
Up to 45 projects will benefit from the Mayor's extra grant, but when that runs out, further funding isn't guaranteed. And charities say they need to be sure that in the long term they can keep supporting thousands of people like this. Carolyn Sim, ITV News.
One of Britain's oldest pub theatres has closed in Islington. For 50 years, the King's Head was a starting point for actors from Hugh Grant to Joanna Lumley. The theatre itself is going to transform into something much larger, but there was sadness today as artists said goodbye to the tiny stage that launched so many giant careers.
This has been an amazing space in terms of championing work that doesn't get seen in main stage spaces or in big theatres elsewhere. And in that sense, the King's Head Theatre and Fringe Theatre has always been at the forefront of kind of pushing the boundaries and making sure that those voices are heard. And it's been uniquely valuable in that sense.
In sport, Chelsea have agreed a record British transfer deal to sign Brighton midfielder Moises Caicedo. They've outbid Liverpool, who offered £111 million for the Ecuadorian on Friday, settling on a cool £115 million. Now, he's joined us on the programme regularly enough for us to know never underestimate Tony Hudgell, and yet he is still full of surprises.
We got a long way to go.
Tony climbed this huge hill in the Lake District to raise money for Evelina Children's Hospital, which treated him as a baby. Tony had a tough start to life, which means he's a double amputee, but that doesn't stop him doing anything he puts his mind to. And Tony is here now with his mum Paula and Dr. Anne Gordon, an occupational therapist from Evelina. Tony, hello, welcome. So tell me, how much did you set out to raise? Can you remember?
Did I actually say that?
£509, wasn't it? Which is ambitious. Do you know what the webpage says? Let's have a look. I think we've got it just refreshed. £44,653. More than £44,000. That's amazing. Exactly. Can you believe all those people are giving money to you? Well, not to you, for the charities that you support.
You're speechless. Mum and Dad never showed me how much we've actually raised.
Oh, really? So this is an exclusive? Maybe they're keeping it secret from you because you might get a big head if you knew the power that you have. Tell me why you want to raise all this money for Evelina.
It's actually not just for the Evelina.
No.
It's for, like, Tony Hudgell Foundation, Bendrick Trust.
It's for different charities, which is Bendrick Trust, the Tony Hudgell Foundation, and
Crohn's and colitis.
Save
the Fells. But we support the Evelina through our fundraising as well.
What was the walk like, Tony? I mean, was it hard going up there?
No.
No? Easy peasy?
Yes.
Well, then you've got to go higher then.
Yeah, me and my friend Jack
Yeah.
want to do Scale Pike.
OK, that's a good target. I'm sure that's achievable.
3 years.
In 3 years' time.
3 years of training. Did you have any incentives when you were going up there? Like if you get to a certain milestone, you can have some sweets or anything to encourage yourself?
So we have a stop for bananas and water.
Bananas and water. OK, it's not quite sweets, but there we go. Paul, are you ever amazed that he just keeps on raising the bar when it comes to fundraising?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was so fast that day. He was so hyped up, so raring to go that we actually had to slow him down.
Really?
Because of his surprise to finish walking to the summit was for Harry to meet him. And, of course, Harry had to catch up, and it was the surprise behind. So we were actually saying, you've got to slow down, Tony. But, I mean, I couldn't even keep up.
Really?
We were literally running. He did some of it on his legs, some of it on just his hands and his stumps.
And then after we done we put the legs back on, and then the legs for the rest going down.
OK. Easier going down than going up, maybe?
Well, he's supposed to have had a rest coming down, but he didn't want to.
It's the opposite way of that.
Oh, actually, OK. I've got to bring in Dr. Anne very quickly from the Evelina. What will this money do for other patients?
So it's going to be able to add to what we already offer in terms of life-saving care for children. So we're really going to use these funds to help invest in state-of-the-art technology and equipment so that we can help children get out of hospital faster, have a less scary experience of hospital, and also stay home for longer, have less hospital experiences by being able to reach out to families so children can keep going to school, keep having fun with their friends, and have less hospital-based appointments, which take them away from all of that.
And that's so important, isn't it, when you're undergoing gruelling treatment? I suppose it's not just about money, though, isn't it? What role does having role models and inspiration play for young people when they're going through treatment and recuperation?
It's really important, actually, and the voice of children and young people is really important to what we do at Evelina London. So hearing from Tony, from his peers, from other children and young people who have complex health conditions, it informs what we do and how we do it so that it actually makes a difference. His voice and his visibility is really important and inspiring.
Tony, do you think of yourself as a role model, someone to inspire other patients? Nah?
Maybe.
Maybe. You're just getting on with it, aren't you? He's got a lovely can-do attitude, hasn't he, Paula?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know? She says I've grown into a teenager.
Already?
That's what she says.
I'm not sure it's a compliment, I've got to be honest. I mean, I don't want to do away with your summer holidays. What are you looking forward to in September when you go back to school, if anything?
Well,
new class, new teacher?
New teacher and class, and also new subject. Because I actually saw that you learn, like, it looks like,
you've got more
I don't
to learn.
know if it's Chinese or something.
Are you going to do languages? Tony, we're out of time, but wonderful talking to you. And when you do Scaffold Pike, we're going to be there with you, OK? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see what is coming up next on the ITV Evening News. Here's Gamal.
Devastation in Maui, a paradise turned living nightmare. Close to 100 have been killed, with the number expected to increase significantly. Almost 1,000 people are still unaccounted for. Why proposals to scrap some wait time targets for cancer treatments are being described as deeply worrying. Caught on camera, Network Rail's warning to those risking their lives misusing level crossings. And the new generation of naturalists set to retrace the voyage of Charles Darwin 200 years on. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Finally tonight, it's one of the fastest growing sports in Europe you've probably never heard of. It's padel, a cross between tennis and squash, and it's so popular in Spain it's second only to football. Now, one sports club in Crystal Palace is doing what it can to bring the sport to life and get people enjoying it here. Sally went to check it out.
If Zidane can do it, and Messi too can do it, then the likelihood is that I very much won't be able to do it.
Punch forward like this. It's a little bit like beach tennis. Okay,
oh, lovely. I've never played that, but it sounds good.
Right, here we go.
But with tennis player Annabelle Croft as my coach, what happened next was beyond me. Not only could I miraculously do it...
Natural ability here. Oh, hello.
I loved it.
Yes, she's aggressive.
Admittedly, I missed a few.
Oh. Oh, no. Oh!
But it didn't put me off padel, which is apparently one of Europe's fastest growing sports. And the National Sports Centre at Crystal Palace now has 2 courts.
Yes.
When you first started playing it, what did you think?
Loved it. I couldn't believe how much fun it was.
It's a bit like tennis, but you can use the walls, you always play in a 4, and you don't have to do that nightmare serve.
Every time I've played, I've always laughed a lot in padel, and that's the most important thing, is just have fun.
Sometimes that's quite rare in sport to laugh,
it is.
isn't it?
You just have such great fun rallies, and there's lots going on, lots of movement, lots of agility.
Even the little ones were starting to enjoy it.
What do you think about padel?
Padel is good.
Did you have some good whacks? Because you can really whack it, can't you?
Yeah, it's really satisfying to hit the ball hard.
I totally
It makes a nice
agree.
noise.
It's a lovely noise, isn't it? Yes, we could do with more of that in our lives, couldn't we?
Yeah.
So we've got tennis and badminton and squash, and how is this sport going to compete, Michael?
I think it competes incredibly well. We've seen that all over the world. As I say, it's the fastest growing sport in the world. It's almost certainly the fastest growing sport in the UK.
Wow.
And the main reasons for that is it's social, it's fun, and incredibly easy to play.
This isn't Annabelle's only sporting project at the moment. She's about to start Strictly Come Dancing.
I mean, obviously, with tennis, you need footwork skills, but judging by what I've seen and, had a little bit of a go, it's a lot of footwork skills, and it's like engaging brain, and I'm slightly having sleepless nights about not being able to remember the steps and not being able to remember things, but I mean, I'm just going to have fun. I'm not going to take myself too seriously.
Oh, yes. Most important question, after a game of padel, can you go and have a drink?
Well, yes. I think the social side very important. That's my opinion, anyway. I definitely like to do the social side. Exactly.
I'm sold.
I don't think I'll be winning any prizes, but it was a lovely way to pass the day.
Quite a slug on you there, Sal.
Oh, it looks really sluggish, but actually it's so nice to hit it. Oh, yeah.
Good sound effects.
Such nice sound effects, and so rare that I could actually play.
You were good at PE at school, I'm sure.
Oh, well, I was very enthusiastic. Very enthusiastic. And I'll never forget Mum coming back from parents' evening. She said, oh, Sally, I've got to laugh. She said, your PE teacher turned around to me and said, Sally's very good at putting away the bibs at the end of the lesson.
Oh. Team player.
Well, thanks, Duncan. You're such a sunny side guy. Always sees the best in us. Anyway, got a bit wet this morning. Should have bought an umbrella, but tomorrow should be better. Let's take a look.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger, and energy.
Hello again. I hope you had a good Monday. Now, isn't this an absolute cracker and makes up for the fact that I've got absolutely none? So thank you very much for that, Gary. So still a little bit showery tonight, and there might be the odd one around tomorrow, but generally getting drier. It's warming up as well as we go through the week with some more sunshine on the way. Let's take a look at the temperatures. So these are the highs that we could get. You can see they're going up day on day, and by Friday we could get a high of 27 or possibly 28. Average for this time of year is a high of about 23. So we are going to just go above that as we go towards the end of the working week. But by Friday and into Saturday, although it stays warm, we could get a bit of a breakdown with some potential rain on the way. We'll keep you posted on that. Right, let's take a look at tonight. So still the chance of some showers outside. They are clearing off to the east as we go through the night. You can see by the second half, more widely, we've got clear spells. The temperature's dropping down therefore a little bit further than last night, down to low teens, maybe even a bit lower than that. So a touch fresh tomorrow morning, but still pretty mild and lovely and sunny. So that'll help to warm things up a little bit. You can see a bit of cloud bubbling up and a few showers here or there into the afternoon, but there is plenty of dry weather. Any bits of rain are pretty isolated. Lighter winds and the temperatures a bit warmer, highs of 21 to 24. And then into the evening, it's mostly dry and some lovely evening sunshine coming through. So a decent end to the day if you avoid any of those showers. A little bit of mist and fog around possibly on Wednesday morning. That will burn off as the sunshine gets to work, and it's a pretty nice forecast. As you can see, if you like those warm temperatures, they are coming our way. We'll just keep you posted Friday night into Saturday. That's it. Cheerio.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
Thank you, Sally. That's us for now. I'll be back with our late update tonight. Next, it's the ITV Evening News with Gamal. Bye for now.